Grade 12 chapter Deep Water. This chapter has been written by William Douglas. The story has been taken from the author's autobiography of Men and Mountains. As a child, when he was 3 or 4 years old, he would go to the beach in California with his father. He would get scared by the might of the huge waves which swept over him, and it instilled a fear in his subconscious mind. It had happened when he was 10 or 11 years old. He had decided to learn to swim. There was a pool at the YMCA in the Yakima that offered exactly the opportunity. The Yakima River was treacherous. It was dangerous to go in the river. As a child, he was scared of deep waters. His mother continually warned against it and kept fresh in his mind that details of each drowning in the river. But the YMCA pool was safe. It was only 2 or 3 feet deep at the shallow end, and while it was 9 feet deep at the other, the drop was gradual. He got a pair of water wings and went to the pool. He hated to walk naked into it and show his skinny legs. But I subdued my pride and did it, he said. So, this is what he did. He wanted to learn to swim, but he was scared of deep water. From the beginning, however, I had an aversion to the water when I was in it. This started when I was 3 or 4 years old, and when his father took him to the beach in California, he used to watch people enjoy near the beach. Many of them enjoyed swimming as well there, but he stood at the shore, observing them enjoy. As he was scared of being in the sea, he thought it would be safe to stand at the shore and enjoy others near the shore. He and I stood together in the surf, he says. I hung on to him, yet the waves knocked me down and swept over me. I was buried in water. My breath was gone. I was frightened. Father laughed, but there was terror in my heart at the overpowering force of the waves. Aversion here means dislike. Okay? He really did not like to be in the deep waters, and so he was extremely scared of being in the water. But later on, he says that he was accompanied by his father most of the time, and his father used to laugh out loud at him and encourage him to swim and surf in the water. My introduction to the YMCA swimming pool revived unpleasant memories and stirred childish fears. Revived means brought back to his mind so he could recollect the incidents and experiences that he had in the past, and this is how he used to fear going into the water. But in a little while, I gathered confidence. I paddled with my new water wings, watching the other boys and trying to learn by apping them. Apping here means copying, okay? To copy others how they have been doing. So, this is what he meant when he said apping them. I did this 2 or 3 times on different days and was just beginning to feel at ease in the water when the misadventure happened. He is trying to swim. He is in the swimming pool at YMCA. But later on, when he started to learn to swim, he met with a misadventure. And this is what he thought led him to depression. I had not been there long when it came a big brochure of a boy, probably 18 years old. He met a stranger, a boy who was hardly 18 years old. Brochure is a person who is tough and aggressive and enjoys a fight or argument. So if you come across the word brochure, here the word brochure means a person who is tough and aggressive and enjoys a fight or argument. He yelled at him, "Hi, Skinny, how did you like to be ducked? Or how do you like to be ducked?" He asked. Ducked here means to push or plunge someone under the water. So here he felt that he was in danger. Why? Because that boy was about to push him into the water. And this is what happened. He plunged in the water, and after a short while, he felt that he was drowning. With that, saying so, okay, with that means saying so, that boy picked him up and tossed him into the deep end. I landed in a sitting position, swallowed water, and went at once to the bottom. Tossed here means threw. That boy threw him into the water, and this is how he was about to drown. It seemed a long way down. Those 9 feet were more like 90, and before I touched bottom, my lungs were ready to burst. But when my feet hit bottom, I sung at my strength and made what I thought was a great spring upwards. So when he was about to drown, he made an attempt to jump so that he can be on the surface and he can breathe. As he was trying, he thought that the 9 feet seemed to be 90 now, and he was unable to come out of the water and breathe. So he started feeling heavy and breathless. He could not feel the bottom. He tried to touch the bottom with his feet, but he was unable to make sure whether he could reach the bottom of the pool and push himself upwards so that he can spring upwards and breathe. Everything was in vain. He tried several times, but he could not do so, and now he thought that he was helpless and there was nobody who could help him. I fled at the surface of the water. He fled at the surface of the water and swallowed and choked. I tried to bring my legs up, but they hung as dead weights, paralyzed and rigid. A great force was pulling me under. I screamed, but only the water heard me. I had started on the long journey back to the bottom of the pool. So, after a while, when he was making an attempt to be out of the water and tried to breathe, he could not do so. And now, later on, he felt paralyzed and rigid, and he thought that he was drowning. He tried to scream, but only the water could hear him, he said. Why? Because there was nobody around who could help him. And unfortunately, it was of no help to him. He tried to help himself, it did not work out. He thought that if he would scream, he would find somebody who would come and help him, but everything was in vain. Flayed here means to move energetically in an uncontrolled way. So here the author tried to save himself from drowning, but he could not do so. I went down, down endlessly. I opened my eyes. Nothing but water was a yellow glow, dark water that one could not see through. And then sheer, stark terror seized me, terror that knows no understanding, terror that knows no control, terror that no one can understand who has not experienced it. So we can make out that he was in great fear. He thought that everything would end at once, and he could not seek anybody's help. And as he kept on drowning, he thought that everything was about to end, means he was about to die. He faced this great terror. There was no way out. A few years later, in his eagerness to learn swimming, he joined a swimming pool where an incident further increased his terror. He was pushed into the pool by another boy and experienced death closely. This was his last experience. Now, many years after that incident, he stayed away from water. But the desire to go fishing and swimming in nature was strong enough to motivate him to overcome his fear. So, we know that the last experience was unpleasant, but after many years, he used to see that many people were still enjoying at the shore. So he could not stop himself. He could not resist. He desired and he wished if he could learn to swim. And his eagerness to learn swimming helped him learn to swim. He learned swimming with the help of an instructor who ensured that William knew swimming well enough to be able to swim in huge lakes and waterfalls also. And then in the midst of terror came a touch of reason. I must remember to jump when I hit the bottom. This is what he had learned when he experienced that he was tossed into the pool and he was about to drown. So his learning out of that experience made him feel confident when he learned to swim. So he was very much sure that if he was in the sea and he would not be able to touch the bottom, what he should do so that he can survive in the deep water. The next that he remembers is how he was lying on the stomach beside the pool vomiting. When he was saved by somebody, he was at the pool and he was vomiting. But I was only fooling, someone said. The kid nearly died. Be all right now. Let's carry him to the locker room. So this is how he was saved when he was drowning. And now after many years when he is recollecting this incident of being away from water but desired to go fishing and swimming in nature, he feels motivated and he was motivated to overcome his fear. Still, when he would swim, the fear from his childhood experiences embedded in his subconscious mind, and that fear would grip him over and over again. He wanted to conquer that fear. Okay, although he learned to swim very well after many years, there was a good instructor who taught him how to swim. But still, at times, his subconscious mind would bring back his memories and experiences of past, and he used to still feel afraid. But then he used to think to himself that how he could conquer that fear. He faced it sarcastically, thinking that now, as he knew how to swim, what harm could it do to him? He challenged his fear in the face of it, and finally, it vanished. So later on, when he thought that he would overcome his fear, at times he used to still feel afraid being in water, swimming in the sea. But still, he used to think to himself that yes, there is a way out. When I know how to swim, there is no possibility that I would swallow water and drown. I never went back to pool. I feared water. I avoided it whenever I could. This is what he thought. But now he was confident. He could conquer his fears. And few years later, when he came to know the waters of the Cascades, he wanted to get into them. Next, he held him at the side of the pool and had me kick with my legs, he said. He is talking about his instructor who helped him how to swim. And for weeks, he just practiced that. At first, his legs refused to work, but they gradually relaxed and finally he could command them. So, this is how he learned how to swim in deep waters. This went on until July, but I was still not satisfied. I was not sure that all the terror had left, so I went to Lake Wentworth in New Hampshire, dived off a dock at the Triggs Island, and swam 2 miles across the lake to Stamp Act Island. So this is how he kept on practicing. He moved to different places. Okay, he tried to have experience of deep waters, and this is how he was confident, and this is how he could conquer the fear of drowning. The experience had a deep meaning for him, as only those who have known stark terror and conquered it can appreciate. This is what he thought, and this is what he has shared in his story. So finally, he thought that it was a baseless fear that was instilled in his subconscious mind. This experience was valuable for him. He had experienced terror and death. He overcome the fear later on, and when he overcame it, he could finally conquer it. So this is how William says that he realized that death is peaceful and it is the fear of death that is terrorizing. He thought that his experience and his fears were baseless. His will to live life grew intensely as he had overcome his fear and started living fearlessly. So, this is how the boy who had unpleasant experience, or rather, unpleasant experiences in his life, bravely fought and strived to overcome his fears, and ultimately, now he is strong enough and ready to face all the obstacles that he had faced and he has faced in his life. So we learn that William Douglas is sharing his experiences through this story. And he feels that anybody who has experienced something like this in their lifetime, they would be able to appreciate how he conquered his fear. Read this meaningful story and think about what are your deepest fears and how you can conquer them.